Hare Krishna. So this morning we will discuss an interesting topic, the true Brahmana, birthright versus qualification. Start with the invocation for the blessings of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter number 84. We'll cover two verses, verse number 20 and verse number 21. Krishna, the foremost worshipper of the Brahmanas. Tasmad Brahmanya Devesha Brahmana Sadhana Param Tatsadhani Vidhina Yatterhanam Iharati. Therefore, O Supreme Brahman, you honor the members of the Brahminical community, for they are the perfect agents by which one can realize you through the evidence of the Vedas. For that very reason, you are the foremost worshipper of the Brahmanas. Verse 21. Adyana pashyatam natha tvayi nathatma darshane janma vidya tapo netraye paripashyanti na shrutam. Today our birth, education, austerity, and vision have all become perfect because we have been able to associate with you, the goal of all saintly persons. Indeed, you yourself are the ultimate supreme blessing. The purport by servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The sages here contrast their respect for the Lord with His reciprocal worship of them. The Lord honors Brahmanas as a means of instructing less intelligent men, whereas He is in fact absolutely independent. The Brahmanas who worship Him, on the other hand, benefit themselves more than they can imagine. Purport ends here. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, who has opened my darkened eyes and filled my heart with transcendental knowledge. I further offer my obeisances to all of you, assembled Vaishnavas, and seek your kind blessings and permission that we may read Srimad Bhagavatam in your presence. So, Krishna here is exalted as the foremost worshipper of the Brahmanas. Lord Krishna honors the Brahmanas. And although He is the supreme Lord of all creation, He still bows down to and offers respectful worship to the Brahmanas. Very famous prayer, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namah. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas, And you are the well-wisher of the entire human society and the world. This is Vishnu Puran. So go Brahmana Hitaya. Even though it says he is the well-wisher of the whole human society, Jagad Hitaya, and the whole world. But the Brahmanas are kind of highlighted, especially. And especially the cows and the Brahmanas. Because the Brahmanas and cows are already part of the world and society anyway. But the Brahmanas are kind of given special status, even in this prayer. So who are these special elite members of the group known as the Brahmanas? Now you can easily imagine like a TV show or like far out movie called The Brahmanas. Who are these special people that even the Lord singles them out as a group and offers worship to show as an example that these particular people, they need to be respected a lot. So pretty much every society naturally has people who gravitate towards these groups of occupation, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, based on their acquired talents, inclination, and their proven work. In any country, we have the thinkers, philosophers, advisors. That's the Brahmana stratum. Then we have the administrative leaders, the government, the military, the police, and so on. That's the Kshatriyas. Then we have the economy developers, who are mostly, their whole goal is make profit, raise the economic standard of the world, and so on. And finally, the labor workers. So society naturally creates these groups. You may call it with different names, but these kind of general groupings of careers tend to appear in any society. And each group, it'll vary across certain countries and societies, but each group has a certain code of conduct and certain set of behaviors that are expected of them. So in the Vedic Varnashram system, we have the same thing, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But what is it that determines our position? What is it that makes me a Kshatriya, Brahmana, Shudra, Vaishya, and so on? So Srila Prabhupada often explained that these four varnas are determined by the gunas, the modes of material nature. The modes that it's a conditioning. The modes that a person has acquired due to their past karma, past activities, and conditioning in previous lives and in this life. Now, this is clearly established in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says in chapter 4, text 13, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha. Guna karma vibhagasha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. That according to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I'm yet the non-doer being unchangeable. So all of us in the material world, those of us who are conditioned, our situation, our bodily constitution, our inclinations, we are products of our own choices. And sometimes we may feel this is just a card I've been dealt. No. The cards we have in our hand are a product of our own choices. Our current conditioning is the culmination of many, many choices we have made along the way over millions and millions of lifetimes. Now, some aspects of our conditioning are so deep that it is not really possible to change them in this life. They're just too deep. It's a reflex, and it's something that cannot be changed very easily. So what do we do about it? We work around them. we determine what is the best occupation for my particular conditioning, and then leverage that. We leverage that to be able to contribute to society in a meaningful way while making spiritual progress individually and collectively. And that's what this system is all about. Is let's find I want to find my place in this system, which aligns with my psychophysical nature, which is ultimately a consequence of what I've chosen throughout many lives. So I have nobody else to blame other than myself for where I am. But at the same time, I don't want to just sit and wallow in blame that I'm conditioned this way or that way. I can't help myself. No. We find a place in society that works in a meaningful way for us so that we can make progress from where we are. Which is why these different varnas have codes of conduct. Brahmana is supposed to act a certain way, Kshatriya is supposed to act a certain way. They're allowed certain things. Vaishyas are allowed certain things, whereas some things that Vaishyas may be allowed, Brahmanas are not allowed to do. These are codes of conduct. And if everybody follows these, then society can work in a progressive way. And that's the whole point of having this structure. And we can uplift ourselves gradually, individually and collectively. So Srila Prabhupada repeatedly emphasized that the varna of a person is not simply by birth, but by their nature, guna, and activities, karma. Krishna says that, right, in that verse we just quoted. So guna and karma, the activities. So these are shaped by our previous life's conditioning. He explains in the purport to Bhagavad Gita 16, text 1 to 3. He says, in human society, if one is born in a family of Brahmanas, but acts like a Shudra, he is not a Brahmana. Similarly, if he is born in a Shudra family, but has the qualities of a Brahmana, he should be accepted as a Brahmana, as confirmed by Sri Krishna himself. This is what Prabhupada explained. Now, this means that the deep-rooted habits, our mental tendencies and modes that we have acquired and cultivated in previous lives carry over. They carry over and influence our varna in the present life. They influence our inclinations. Now, these modes, the three modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, they bind us. They bind the soul to matter. So in this verse in Bhagavad Gita 14:5, Krishna explains, Sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhava nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. The material nature consists of three modes, goodness, passion, ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, he becomes conditioned by these modes. We've heard this word conditioning. You might be familiar with a very famous Russian scientist, the name of Pavlov. So Pavlov, he conducted his experiments with dogs and bell, and every time he would feed the dog, he'd ring the bell. So the dogs became conditioned thinking that when the bell rings, it's time to eat. So then he did experiments where he would just ring the bell, but he wouldn't put any food near the dogs. But somehow, whenever the bell rang, the dogs started to salivate because they created a conditioned reflex that bell ringing means food is going to come. Food will be here any second. And so he proved this notion of conditioning. Similarly, we are conditioned when we are in this material world. When we try to enjoy the material world separately from Krishna, we put ourselves and we bind ourselves to this. And so we get conditioned in different ways. And just like the dogs can't help themselves to salivate when the bell rings, similarly, we can't help ourselves in certain situations. And it's different for different people, but generally they're classified according to these three modes. And some modes are more prominent than others. And so the combination of these modes determine our alignment with the varnas. So Prabhupada elaborates in the purport to this verse that one's conditioning due to past karma influences whether they're inclined toward knowledge, which is brahmanas, heroism and administration, which is Kshatriya, trade and agriculture, which is Vaishya, or service, Shudra. Now, Krishna also confirms this in chapter 6, this whole notion that these tendencies carry over from previous lives. It says, Prapya punya kritam lokan, ushitva shashvati sama, shuchinam shimatam gehe yoga brashto bijayate. When the question of an unsuccessful yogi or devotee, what happens to him if he or she doesn't make it? They're going to try it, put a lot of effort, but they can't make it. So Krishna says, no. The unsuccessful yogi is, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So typically, the birth of a particular soul is influenced by their karma and their inclinations. But because sometimes things can get a little complicated, just because someone is born in a particular family doesn't mean that they are of that varna. So Prabhupada explained in this purport that those who cultivated knowledge and pious activities, they're reborn in families that they can easily develop their natural tendencies. This applies to all varnas. If one developed Brahminical qualities in the past life, you're likely to take birth in circumstances where those tendencies can be manifested. Now, Srila Prabhupada also stresses that although varnas are based on the gunas, the modes, right, one is not permanently bound by them. There is one key to come out of those. By engaging in devotional service, bhakti, devotional service to Supreme Lord Krishna, that service is transcendental to all the varnas, to all conditioning. And thus, the varna system itself can be transcended with the right level of connection to Krishna. But it has to be exclusive. Krishna gives a clue how we can completely come out of this binding of these modes. In chapter 14, verse number 26, he says, Mam chiyo vibhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Prabhupada quoted this a lot. That one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So Prabhupada explains in that purport that bhakti is the process by which you can become free from the conditioning of past lives, elevate yourself even beyond varnashram system. Now, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, around when he was preaching very prominently in the early 1900s, the Brahmana caste, when I say caste, I'm talking about, those who are claiming birthright Brahmanism. They had monopolized religious leadership in India. They falsely claimed that only those born in Brahmana families had the right to study and teach the scriptures. They only had the right to conduct rituals or conduct service of the deity in the temples, and only they had the right to give initiation. They very strongly believed in this, and they tried to assert it. Now, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur directly and openly challenged this corruption. And he taught that, of course, Brahmana status is based on qualities, the guna, and karma, birth, not on janma, work, which is karma, but not on birth, not janma. He also wrote in response to them. He had a whole debate with them in 1911. And around that time, he wrote an essay called Brahmana and Vaishnava. Now, this essay, it's worth reading. You can Google it. Just look for Bhaktisiddhanta, Brahmana, and Vaishnava. There's many PDF versions of this essay out there. It's a really good one to read. And of course, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur writes in a very academic and very incisive, cutting way. It critiques the birthright-based caste system, that Brahmanas are superior solely by birth. He asserted that the Brahmanas must exhibit the qualities. What are the qualities? Purity, knowledge, and devotion. If they have purity, knowledge, and devotion, the practices are pure, they actually have the knowledge and can explain it and answer questions, and they are genuinely devotional and their activities reflect that, then they can be considered Brahmanas. Now, even such a Brahmana, he says, someone who possesses this quality of knowledge and so on, must remain subordinate to Vaishnava. Vaishnava is even higher, because the Vaishnava is engaged in pure devotion to Krishna specifically. If one is engaged in pure devotion to Krishna, a Vaishnava is higher than a Brahmana, whether it's birth-based or merit-based. So he supports this argument of Vaishnava being higher than Brahmana with many scriptural references, particularly Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and of course the works of our previous acharyas, showing that devotion, not birth, is the ultimate criterion. He explains that while a Brahmana is traditionally respected for knowledge and ritualistic purity, these are secondary. They're actually distantly secondary to the transcendental position, the transcendence that arises from following Vaishnavism purely. Because the Vaishnava has direct access to the Supreme Lord through devotion. That's key. He gave some amazing examples, like Haridas Thakur was born in not even a Hindu family, he was born in a Muslim family. But he was revered by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for his spotless and unwavering devotion to the holy name. In fact, he was given the title Namacharya. The title was not given to anybody else, even though everybody else was chanting. But there's only one Namacharya. See, so in this essay, he totally dismantles these misconceptions. So he encourages Brahmanas to cultivate devotion and stresses that the true spiritual hierarchy is determined by surrender to Krishna rather than social birthright. And he warns against these so-called Brahmanas who use their status for personal prestige and wealth instead of service to God. Now, it is interesting and quite significant that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared as a Brahmana in this age of Kali. In previous ages, Lord Krishna, when he came as Ramchandra or in his Krishna avatar, he appeared as a Kshatriya, killed many demons. But in Kali Yuga, he appears as a Brahmana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because in this age, the battle is ideological, not physical. Demonic influences in this age have to be removed by transforming hearts, not through war, not through weapons, but through Shastra and Bhakti, through scriptures and devotion. This idea was made famous in the incident of Jagai and Madai. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so angry at them, these demon brothers, Jagai and Madai, that he raised his weapon, Sudarshan, to kill them for their offense to Nityananda Prabhu. But Lord Nityananda begged Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and said, "My dear Lord, I must remind you that in this age of Kali, pretty much everyone has some demonic elements in their hearts. Who will you kill and who will you spare?" And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not kill them. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's method was Sankirtan, the holy name. That's the weapon. That's the weapon to slash the demoniac elements in the hearts of everyone. The holy name is very, very powerful. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then shastric education to remove ignorance. Mahaprabhu very famously said, Siddhanta boliye chitte na karo alash. Don't be lazy in the matter of studying the conclusion of scriptures. The conclusion being bhakti. Of all the Vedantas, bhakti is the conclusion. Bhakti Vedanta. We follow Bhakti Vedanta. Srila Prabhupada's name is Bhakti Vedanta. We follow him. But to follow him means to study what he's written, to study his illuminating purports, to study the scriptures, to study the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the teachings of the Acharyas. It is very important. Because then, when we are firmly convinced in our hearts through this study, we'll get the blessing of the Lord and our faith will be unshakable. And all demoniac traces that may be in our hearts will have to run away. They cannot survive in the presence of this light. Darkness cannot survive in the presence of light. So Sankirtan, Shastric education, devotional service, like here you can see the picture, in offering nice things to the Lord. And preaching. Preaching means sharing Krishna consciousness with others. Preaching that sharing has a transformative effect. In the story of Jagai Madai, the demons didn't get killed. They transformed into devotees. Isn't that so much better? So there is a need for spiritual revolution through Brahminical leadership. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, yes, develop these qualities. And Prabhupada came here famously to make Brahmanas out of non-Brahmanas. And when he took them back to India, because these devotees, they're not born of Indian background, many Indian people criticize, oh, how can you engage these white people, black people, non-Indian people in the service of the deity? That's unacceptable. Only those born in Brahmana family, that's still going on. Even today, there are people who believe that. But Prabhupada, following the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, following the footsteps of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he challenged that notion. And today the world has so many Brahmanas, unheard of in the history of the world. Brahmanas from all over the world, from every background, every racial, ethnic, language, variety. Because that has nothing to do with being a Brahmana. So how can we practically apply this today? We want to encourage devotees and everybody else that we can influence and inspire to develop Brahminical qualities of truthfulness, self-control, wisdom, tolerance, and so on. Engage in Shastric study and teaching as much as possible. Practice ourselves, practice and promote Krishna consciousness, and support and uphold qualified spiritual leadership. So, just to summarize, Krishna honors Brahmanas not by birth, but by their wisdom. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission shows that the real battle is ideological in this Kali Yuga, and that we want to restore true Brahminical culture through qualification. Every sincere devotee has the opportunity to cultivate Brahminical qualities and serve Krishna's mission. So let us all be part of this spiritual revolution, contribute in whatever way we can, without being too concerned about the particular type of conditioning we have. It's fine. Let's leverage it to the best of our ability and use whatever talents, energies, skills, inclinations we have in Krishna's service. And that'll uplift us beyond even the Brahmana to the level of Vaishnava. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. Okay. I see Vijay Krishna Prabhu has a question and Gail Mataji has a question. Go ahead, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Madana-gopāla Das Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please
yes, thank you very much, O most kind and Anavad Pranams. Prabhu, in Bhagavad Gita, as it is, Krishna chants to Arjuna, the qualities of a Brahmana. And the first quality mentioned is shamaha, peacefulness. So based on this, my question is, why is it that without being peaceful, a Brahmana cannot be a Brahmana? That is my question.
Yes, it's a very good point. How is it, why is it that without being peaceful, you can't really be a Brahmana? It's like the first quality mentioned in there, right? If someone says that I'm a math teacher and he can't even do simple addition, he can't even add 2 + 2, he can't claim to be a math teacher. He can say, oh, so that's one of the main criteria, is that the definition of a Brahmana means one who is established in Brahman, who knows that the goal of life is Brahman. Goal of life is spirit, to move beyond matter to spirituality, to move to spiritual level. Now, to be at the Brahma Bhuta level, to be at that level, one should be free from na shochati na kamshati. Brahma Bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kamshati. One must be free from lamentation and hankering. So when you're free from lamentation and hankering, and sama sarveshu bhuteshu, and you're equally disposed to everybody, and you're fair with everyone, then you can be peaceful. You will be necessarily peaceful, because what is that disturbs our peace? Either we're lamenting we lost something, or we're hankering that we don't have something we wanted. And those two things remove our peace, and we cannot be happy without peace. Now, Brahmana's job is to show the rest of society that happiness is found in peace. And peace can only be found in spirituality. That's why it says, Ashantasya kuta sukham. Right? Krishna says, without peace, where is our happiness? You see. So Brahmana's main, you can say, product that they not sell, but that they give out is happiness. And happiness depends on peace. And therefore, peace is the very first quality that Krishna mentions. If you don't have peace, you cannot give it to anybody else. And if you don't have peace, you cannot have happiness. If you don't have happiness, you cannot give happiness to somebody. You cannot teach them to be happy. And so it is very important. And that's why Krishna lists that quality as the first one in the Brahmana's base. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
So we have Gail Mataji, followed by Krishna Kumari Mataji, followed by Mitravinda Mataji. Hare Krishna, Gail Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, just a couple things. I think it's mostly repetition, but as you said, right, once a person becomes a Vaishnav, they transcend the modes, no? And so, but that doesn't mean that our material nature goes away, you know. If a person has predominantly, Vaishya qualities, they don't stop being a Vaishya just because they have now decided to become an aspiring Vaishnav. So is it that when one becomes an aspiring Vaishnav, it's that one transcends the modes, in that one is no longer controlled by his material nature. He instead utilizes his material nature in Krishna's service? Is that the idea? Because what I'm trying to do is reconcile the fact that we transcend the modes as Vaishnavas, even though we still retain our material nature.
Yes, it's a good question. And the answer is in your question. You use the term aspiring Vaishnava several times. And then you use the term Vaishnava also. So those are two different things, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean aspiring Vaishnava.
That's right. Yeah. No, so when one is an aspiring Vaishnava, he's not a Vaishnava yet.
Yeah. And that's why we're still kind of not yet fully transcending the modes.
Correct. Exactly. And so it's a spectrum to the degree that we have made the progress. To that degree, it's a sliding scale. Right, and sometimes it goes back and forth too. It does not mean it will always go up. Even as we're moving upwards in this progress, there will be times when we move downwards, because we can always choose to abandon the practice, or to minimize the practice, or to succumb to the lower natures that we've acquired. So that's why it goes up and down, even as you see. And we're fully, our independence is never lost. Independence to turn away from Krishna never goes away. So depending on our conditioning, and even as we're making progress and we're shedding the various shackles of conditioning that we've acquired on this path, we still have to contend with the fact that there's certain shackles are so deep and so heavy that it's going to determine how quickly we can move. So we do need to work around them, which is why we have these varnas, which is why we have certain codes of conduct. So if I am a Kshatriya, I have a tendency to protect, to use weapons, I have expertise, a heroism, I'm going to go out and save the world and help people. But then there's a dark side to Kshatriyas too. Very seductive. You have so much power, physical power, more than most other people. You have skills. You have, techniques that you've acquired in how to govern and maybe even manipulate. And you could totally misuse that to get more power and to abuse people completely, because you have the power. Now, the codes of Kshatriya conduct require them to revere and accept the guidance of Brahmanas. See? So that's why the Brahmanas are the advisors to the kings. But if they don't follow, then society will be in chaos. So similarly, whatever Varna we end up with, we have to be aware of every Varna has a dark side to it and an uplifting side to it. We have to be aware of what could bring us down. And if we succumb to the dark side, that can happen very quickly, because we already have conditioning that can very quickly take us down in that particular part of the dark side. See? And so it is important for us to be aware of those. And like I said, leverage our skills and our conditioning so that we can contribute to society and bring more sanity to those around us while making spiritual progress. So it's a combination. So we have to acknowledge that this conditioning will remain to the degree that we haven't made progress. Thank you, Gail Mataji.
Yeah, can I just ask you to quickly repeat the reason for why Lord Chaitanya was born in the Brahmana ashram?
Yeah, why he appeared as a Brahmana.
Yeah.
Is primarily to make the point that in the age of Kali, it is going to be the Brahminical approach to uplift society and to remove demonic elements, right? Krishna said, whenever there's a decline in religion and a rise in irreligion, then I come up again and again, yuga, in every yuga, right? To do what? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya duskritam. To uplift the devotees and to defeat and destroy the demons. So in Kali Yuga, he came as a Brahmana to destroy the demons in everyone's hearts. And so the only way to destroy demons in people's hearts without killing them is to win them over with their preaching, basically, win them over by the Brahminical approach. And therefore, he says, this is what we want to cultivate in this yuga. And that's why Prabhupada focused on the Brahmanas more than other things.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Kumari Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is like such a important discussion. I have a couple of inputs. I don't know if they're comments, but we did hear this week from Prabhupada that in the spiritual world, there is no Varna system. And then I just think, to add to what Vijay, Krishna, and Gail are saying here, there's a combination, right? When you're at peace, it's just like the Bhagavad Gita, you could as it is, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, not every, but how he wanted our society to give Bhagavad Gita, is that actually karma yoga is bhakti yoga too. So all these varnas here in this world, I don't know why they're spoken about sometimes in a not so pleasant way. My godson, he's a Kshatriya. He's always been a Kshatriya. Even when he's this pure little boy, playing with his club. And now he's a firefighter. But then he comes to the, Thursday night kirtan and uses his muscles to play mridanga. So, I just, I don't know. I just kind of desire to hear these varnas spoken in amongst us in this age, in this day, in 2024, in a more positive way. I was just telling my son, like, he's finished all this education, and I know of great people that got their masters, but then they went and sanded cabinets because they wanted to learn how the world works and use their hands. And it's important to be fully satisfied, be happy and at peace, like Vijay Krishna is saying, with your work. And that's why I believe that, Urmila Devi has written this amazing, huge book about being peaceful for the 8 hours you're working. It should be so satisfying. When I go to work, I come home and I feel like I've done such beauty in the world. I've given so much, and I don't feel now I need a break. So I think it's important for our work to be so satisfying and aligned with our nature while we're in this body.
Thank you for sharing those thoughts. Yes, that book is highly recommended. I've shared the link over here. It's called Career Dharma by Urmila Devidasi, where you can align, first discover your own psychophysical makeup and see if any dissatisfaction in your career choices are arising due to misalignment with your nature. Because a lot of the time we feel frustrated with the career choices because we were probably pushed into it, or we just didn't know what else to do, so we just did what everybody else is doing, and then we don't feel happy in it, but we just keep dragging along. And a lot of those, a lot of that discontent comes from misaligning with our dharma. Dharma, of course, for every soul is to be Krishna conscious, but then we also have other dharmas that are more aligned with our conditioning, which you also should respect, because until we're fully freed from it, it does affect our consciousness. And so that is important. Yeah, thank you, Krishna Kumari, for sharing those thoughts. Mitravinda Devidasi, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for being here. Hare Krishna, Vaishnavas. Care.
Darshan time, Mitravinda Devi.
Yes, Hare
Mitravinda,
Krishna.
please. Yes, stay after Darshan, okay? Please, Mitravinda. I want to hear from you, but now is Darshan time. Madana-gopāla Prabhu, if you have a few minutes, please.
Yeah, we'll stay on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Take it from there, Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Welcome back to the Naimisharanya Forest. Madana-gopāla Prabhu, thank you so much for going overtime with us. Mitravinda Devidasi, please. We like your profile picture, Vaishnavi mother and daughter moments. Beautiful, inspiring.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Vaishnavas. I just wanted to say that how can we mention Lord Chaitanya without mentioning care, without mentioning compassion? Although these varnas exist and they are to assist everyone in their desire to become Krishna conscious. At this time of Lord Chaitanya's appearance looming, coming for us, to understand that the varnas have very specific intentions, moods, and actions. But I don't know, like Brahmanically, we don't generally associate care and compassion with it. So how can we imbibe more of and speak more about the aspects of bhakti, which include and are definitely relatable to care in how we deal with one another? and encourage each other in centers and temples and in the world, leaving that bhakti imprint by those words. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yes. Thank you so much, Mithravinda Mataji. Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the embodiment of karuna, of care. He's embodiment of compassion. He's embodiment of, he is known as Patita Pavana, of course, the savior of the fallen. And he's also the embodiment of giving care to those who are trying to approach him. In fact, the opening verse of Chaitanya Bhagavata says that Yuga Dharma Palo Vande Jagat Priya Karo Karunavataro. Karunavatar means he is the incarnation of compassion and mercy. So everything he did everything he taught is based on that. Coming to taking care of each other as Vaishnavas, that is our primary remit, it is our primary responsibility. Now, it is an unfortunate reality that even in this day and age, even in societies of devotees, that depth of care is not visible. Is this unfortunate? But our prayer is that we can make progress, identify areas of improvement and make progress. We have some initiatives that have been going on. Right? We have this devotee care initiatives that's been happening. The devotees are trying to, at least they've identified this is an area where we need to work on, and then putting initiatives. And sometimes even those initiatives, we feel that, it's not nearly enough. That's certainly there. But yes, we have to embody and recognize that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Karunavatar, and that we need to get into care and compassion. Yes, right. I like your comment. Less management, more care and compassion. Very good point. Actually, Prabhupada, when devotees would put together structures, lots and lots of bureaucratic structures of management, Prabhupada would say, no, you're going the wrong path. He said, we need to be a society based on love and trust. If it's a society based on love and trust, then a lot of the red tape and bureaucratic systems that we try to put in place to make it more efficient as an organization, we don't need it. In fact, some of that, a lot of it is reflective of the downfall of our love and trust. You see, so we have to be careful. Of course, we want to make efficiency. We want to be, as an organizational, smart. And Prabhupada said we have to be intelligent and organized. But at the same time, if it doesn't have a foundation of love and trust, then no level of efficiency in organization will help, because you've lost your main product, which is love and care and compassion. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I just wanted to say just briefly, everything you said was spot on, and very, very true. I'm just concerned in hearing conversations, classes, sharings that don't involve these components when speaking about Lord Chaitanya, and kind of leads to, concepts that the things that are important are management, are efficiency, and, when, how, and who we select to run places that deal with human beings, if they're not relegated or don't have the requirement of being able to imbibe humanistic qualities that relate to compassion and dealing with people versus managing buildings, then how can we actually foster this bhakti in our communities? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You're spot on, Mitravinda Mataji, 100%. That's why when we see certain congregations are so inspired in their particular yatras and certain congregations don't, why? And we talk to them, and then we go to those different temples or different groups, and we see that it all comes down from leadership. If the leader embodies is love and trust, and pushing for that, and giving that. Oh, the devotees there can't imagine going away from that place. And on the other hand, it's the opposite. If the, in the interest of being an efficient leader, managing, okay, keeping the building together and this and that together, but at the cost of what? We should use our buildings to build people, not use our people to build buildings. Use our projects to build up the love, not use our people power to build up projects and then chew them out and throw them out. Thank you so much. It's a good point. Bhima
That was
Prabhu.
very, very powerful, Madana-gopāla Prabhu. Very powerful statements. Thank you. Adipusha Prabhu was nodding. You please, Adipusha Prabhu. Yeah,
As a perfection of my existence. If I can please Adipusha Prabhu even a little bit, then my life is successful. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Bhima Prabhu has a hand up for a bit.
Haribo Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Madana-gopāla, what a wonderful, beautiful segue from Brahminical culture and the qualifications of the different varnas, but how everything falls into nothing unless there's the depth of care that you said, the depth of care. There is care. Of course, we care even if we're just running by and dropping off a book in one of those little library boxes or something like that, okay? So there's that care, like maybe somebody will find this book and read it and, say, oh, wow, let me go trace out the nearest temple and blah, blah, blah. So there's a little bit of care there. And then there's the care of being able to sit with someone who's troubled, even has doubts about, let's say this movement has doubts about whether they feel like they belong, of course, expressed, as you mentioned about Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda. Lord Chaitanya was about ready to cut the heads off of Jagai and Madai, but Nityananda, like depth of care, you know what I mean? So this is all so important. Adi Parush called me this morning, and he was just his first words was he was so amazed by this little crew, this army, this platoon that he has of workers that show up every day to do the food distribution. And then there's new people every day being hooked in by Das and Alice and through Ananda Bihari. What's that? Angel, especially Angel, Evangel. Okay, someone way behind the scenes, but doing the foundational work. Evangel, when she goes, these people are not your typical ISKCON devotees. They're not typical, and yet their actions show that they are so committed to service. And not only just devotional service within the temple, but devotional service with pure outreach. In outreach, by trying to get to somebody's heart through prasad. That's how I began. That's how most of us began. Our hearts the door was knocked upon by prasad. So this depth of care goes from, the hit and run of book distribution to getting to know someone, bringing them to prasad distribution. And then next thing you know, they're in the Bhakti Center seeing deities, Radha Murlidhar, for the first time. And this is that outreach of love. This is bhakti. We say bhakti, 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 but what we're saying is love, love, love. And it's a difficult thing because in the Western world, love can mean so many different things. But bhakti in particular means to bring people somehow closer and closer and closer to Krishna. And and everybody is part of that machine, that pull in Varnashram. Whether you are a Sudra, which we all are, though I do see people coming into this movement like yourself, Madana-gopāla, who has already been born again and again doing this self-same work. You probably volunteer. You probably you probably go home and say, I'll do another tour of duty. And Krishna's like, yeah, I needed somebody like you who's willing to do another tour of duty here in this world to help us. And so we do bow down to all the Vaishnavas of your Varna, which of course is a leader. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Bhima Prabhu, for that. I think your point is very, very important, really important, of sitting with somebody with care, like sitting with somebody, And Krishna actually shows this. I mean, of course, we know in theory, Krishna is God, is very powerful and everything. But when he shows his mercy at the highest level, what does that mercy look like? It looks like someone sitting next to you and caring so much for you that they tremble along with you, with your level of emotion, even if it's based on conditioned suffering or whatever it may be. That's care. That's care. There's a verse, Tatte anukampam susamikshamaano, a very famous verse, Bhagavatam, where he says, one waits for the mercy of the Lord while suffering, right? The word for mercy in that verse is anukampa. Anukampa means one who trembles along with you. It means a level of mercy where he sits and he says, I want to feel what you feel. You're crying because your toy is broken. I will come down to that level to feel why you're feeling that. I will cry with you, even though ultimately it's just a broken toy. That's care. To show you care for somebody means to really try to feel their pain to the point where you also feel, you tremble. Anukampa. Kampa comes from kampana, which means to tremble. Anu means to follow someone's trembling. So it says the Vaishnava is one who feels the pain of others, who knows the pain of others. Para dukkhe dukhi, one who is dukhi, who actually is pained by the pain of another. Then and only then can you understand who they are. Then and only then can you help them out. Then only then will your help mean something. And then and only then will our care mean something when you feel. And so your point is very valid, Bhima Prabhu. And hopefully we all can develop some of that quality, which is Krishna's quality. And that's what matters. And after that, everything else happens automatically. Because when you have a deep sense of love and trust, then you'll give your life to that person because that person is only your good in mind. See? Hare Krishna. Okay.
Beautiful. I feel like I'm a pure devotee. Thank you, Madana-gopāla, for lifting us up so nicely. Would anyone like to say Hare Krishna? Gail, can you say Hare Krishna?
Yeah, I can say Hare Krishna, but the word for the day.
No, there's no but after Hare Krishna, Gail.
No, you will like this but because I'm just highlighting this last word. I think it's anukampa. You said anukampa.
Correct.
It's one word, right?
Yes.
Anukampa, and it means like to kind of when one person trembles, you tremble along with that person, huh? In empathy.
Is that what it means?
That's correct.
That's great.
It's a very famous verse, 10:14:8. Yep, 10:14:8. If you want to refer to that, Prabhupada quoted a lot.
10:14:8. Oh,
That's
okay,
right.
great.
It's that famous verse, yeah.
Yeah. I know that verse.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the word. It's the word in there.
Uh-huh.
That's the one. So it's about empathy. It's a mercy that is the highest degree of empathy. Empathy is different from sympathy, by the way. Because sympathy, you feel sorry for somebody. Empathy, you feel someone's pain. It's a difference.
Yes. Yeah. The sympathy, you might you might feel for somebody, but you're not willing to necessarily do anything about it, I think.
Yeah, no, you feel for somebody.
Yeah.
But empathy means you actually feel their pain. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
10:14:8.
Yeah, 10:14:8. And I think, this quality one would normally feel predominantly from one's guru, isn't it? Predominantly.
Of course, yeah. Depending on naturally, the guru's main responsibility is to sit close with the disciple and give the disciple the guidance and care. And because Guru is representative of Krishna, and Krishna offers anukampa, therefore the Guru offers anukampa. You see?
Okay, yeah, I'm just confirming because
Yeah,
you know, I just once heard something that my takeaway from that was that it can be kind of expecting too much, you know, and so I was just wondering, when is it too much? So that's why it
expecting
was,
what, too much from the Guru?
yeah, this, you know, that level of like anukampa, you know, because that sounds like a very deep word, you know, to feel that somebody else is really, really feeling your struggle or your pain or whatever, you
Yeah,
know.
the Guru's primary responsibility, actually speaking. The care of the disciples is the primary responsibility of the Guru.
Mm-hmm.
The care means anukampa,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is why Mahaprabhu said we should not take on too many disciples.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why did he say that? Prabhupada? I mean, Mahaprabhu said one should not take on too many disciples because how much anukampa can you give if you have, you know?
Right.
Right. So that's the whole point. And even practically speaking, ISKCON is also trying to move in that direction, where they want to have, you know, it's better to have 10,000 gurus with 10 disciples each than to have 10 gurus with 10,000 disciples each. It just makes more sense.
Oh, I so resonate. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.